Hello class. So we will be reviewing the practice 1 packet. Alright, here comes the first question. So the f prime of x is given in this way. Now, here the keyword would have been f is decreasing. That means we realize that f prime has to be less than 0. In other words, ln of x minus 2 has to be less than 0. Now, we know that ln of 1 is equal to 0. Therefore, x minus 2 has to be less than 1. That means x has to be less than 3. So, there it goes. But then we realize that, in fact, there will be our choice, but x has to be greater than 2, make this one to be defined. Now, next. The question here, we have the slope of the tangent to this one equals to 0. Now that means we just have to take the derivative and set it equal to 0. So we have, in order for us to take the derivative of this one, we have to use the product rule here. Now we realize x times derivative of the cosine becomes negative sine of x plus cosine of x times the derivative of x is simply 1, and that has to be set equal to 0. Now, by moving this one to the other term, we realize cosine of x will be equal to x sine of x. Now here, we realize by dividing it by sine of x on both sides, we get to realize that x will be equal to cotangent of x. Now, then that in fact is equal to choice B, because if you flip each side, meaning if you get the reciprocal of each side, then you would have gotten the answer choice B right here. Now, the next question. Now, this is a function given in this way. Now, we want to figure out the value, approximate value of f prime of 1. Now, here f prime of 1, if you have to calculate, first we have to calculate it in f prime of x. Now, f prime of x then simply means g prime of x plus g of x. But by the chain rule, we have to multiply by the derivative of inside. Now, derivative of x becomes simply 1 plus g prime of x. That's basically what we're indicating. Now, then f prime of 1 for this matter becomes g prime of 1 plus g of 1 times 1 plus g prime of 1. Now let us try to calculate one at a time. Here we realize this is simply 1, but what is g of 1? G of 1 is when, since this is the graph of g, when you're going to 1, we realize the value would have been equal to 3. So therefore, that's equal to 3, right over there. And then this is 1. But what is g prime of 1? G prime is the slope. In fact, we do have a straight line right here, and you can realize that the slope here is equal to negative 2. As you can see, 1 over 2 down, 1 over 2 down, just like what we have learned in Math A long time ago. So here we have negative 2. Then if you have to realize combining these two, we get to have g prime of 4 times negative 1. But what is g prime of 4? G prime of 4 is simply the slope around at that value, but we realize two particular points that have integer values. So as we go over 3, we went up by 2, so therefore slope here becomes 2/3. But in fact, we have negative 1, therefore our answer is negative 2/3. Answer is choice E. Now, next. So in this case, we have to get the area between 2 to 6 for this function. Now, when we take the antiderivative of 1 over x, we get ln of x, as we know, plus antiderivative of 2x becomes x squared, which goes from 2 to 6. Now, when you plug in 6, we simply end up getting ln of 6 plus 6 squared, which ends up being 36. So the whole thing will be subtracted by ln of 2 by plugging in 2 plus 4. Now, then, since between two ln's, meaning natural logarithm, the subtraction sign simply means the division, so we end up getting ln of 3, because 6 divided by 2. Now, plus 36 minus 4 becomes 32. Therefore, our answer becomes choice C. Alright, now, relative maximum. Now, in this case, in order for us to get the relative maximum, we have to get the first derivative. What is the first derivative? Now, in fact, one way which we can do this, we can do the product quotient rule, so bottom square, and then what we end up getting is first we have to take the derivative of the top, which is equal to 2 times ln of x times derivative of inside 1 over x, and multiply by the derivative, multiply by the bottom function minus. We have ln of x whole thing square, and then we have times the derivative of the bottom, which is simply x. Now here we have to set this one equal to 0 first. Now we realize that this x and this x will cancel out. And what we end up having here is 2 ln of x minus ln of x whole thing square has to be equal to 0. Now by factoring out ln, we will end up getting ln of x, and we have 2 minus ln of x equals to 0. Now here, of course, we get to realize that the 1 will be the 1 value to set this one equal to 0. In order for that one to be equal to 0, we have x has to be equal to 1. Here, in order for this one to be equal to 0, x has to be e squared. So we can simply solve this one by 2 minus ln of x equals to 0, and 2 equals ln of x. Now, this ln simply means that when the base is 2, base is e, and then exponent is 2, hence x will be equal to e squared, which was the answer right here. Now, so we have those two things. It doesn't mean that we're going to get the both of them being maximum right away. If you have to do the number line, this is equal to 1. This is equal to e squared. And then we have 0 here, and then, whatever. Now, one nice thing which we can count on would have been, what if you had to plug in the value such as, how about 1 over e? Or you could have plugged in other values too, but when you plug in 1 over e, one thing that's nice here is that this portion becomes simply -1, because ln of 1 over e simply means negative ln of e, but ln of e is equal to 1, so -1. Here we get negative value. But here, well, why don't we plug in e? How about that? When you plug in e, that's between 1 and e squared. So here we get 1. And then 2 minus, here we get ln of e is still equal to 1, and we get to realize that it's positive. This is negative. Now, how about here? What if you have to plug in e cubed? When you plug in e cubed, then this portion becomes 3 times 2 minus essentially 3, which ends up getting -1, so we get negative sign here. Now, with the fact that we are looking for relative maximum, that means it has to be positive to negative. Our answer becomes e squared. That becomes our answer. Alright, now next. An equation of the line tangent to the graph here. At its point of inflection. Now, that means we need to find the point of inflection first. Now, in order for us to do that, we have to take the double derivative. We have 3x squared plus 6x. And then, the next one is y double prime, which ends up being 6x plus 6. Of course, we get to realize x is equal to -1, where we're going to have a point of inflection. Now, when x equals -1, slope becomes y prime. Now then, becomes 3 times -1 squared plus 6 minus 1. Now, when you calculate this one, you will realize that the value will be negative 3. Slope is equal to negative 3, while x value is equal to negative 1. Now then, let us try to find the y value. The y value equals negative 1 to the third power plus 3 times negative 1 squared plus 2. Now then, we realize this becomes negative 1. Here we have still 3, and plus 2, we end up getting 4. So those are the values. In other words, we end up getting y minus 4, which is equal to negative 3, so the slope, times x plus 1. That's what we end up getting, but when you distribute everything, we end up getting y equals negative 3x. We have negative 3 and then plus 4, so we're going to have plus 1. So therefore, our answer becomes choice A. Alright. Here we just have to take the antiderivative. Now, you could use the u substitution, you may not, it's up to you. But if I were to use the u substitution, I would set u equals 3 minus 2x. And then we end up getting the u, which ends up being negative 2 dx. Now, I don't see any negative 2, so I'm just going to divide both sides by negative 2 here. Then we get to realize dx, in fact, is equal to du over negative 2. So that is considered here. Then this becomes integral of cosine of u, and then du over negative 2. Now, negative 2 can go to the front. Then we end up getting negative 2, and then sine of u plus c. Now, how can I get that? Negative 2 sine of u, in this case, was 3 minus 2x. Oops, my bad. This negative touched you in the denominator. Sorry. So it's here. Plus c. So that becomes our final answer. Now then, which should be pretty equal to negative. Okay, it seems like this one. That seems to be our answer. All right. Now with this one, I will end part 1. We have a few more parts to go. See you soon.